cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are terrible for the environment. And that would be true regardless of whether we were getting anything productive out of that energy usage or not. The fact that we're not makes it even more scandalous. One of the easiest and least disruptive things we can do to address the climate crisis is crack down on environmentally wasteful cryptocurrencies, and now is the time to do it.
So that's what happens when you take a bunch of ignorant US senators and put them in a room and let them discuss something that's about to disrupt them and take away all their power. That's what happens. And today what we're going to look at is we're going to look at why, even with the Elizabeth Warren Fund, Bitcoin is still, have a look at this. Bitcoin is still nearing $38,000. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about all the FUD in the market. We're going to talk about all the good news in the market, because the good news continues. And remember, I said to you guys that the good news is like a volcano. It's basically like going in and in and in and in and in. And eventually it's just going to explode. And when it explodes, we're going to continue the bull market. That's, of course, if the stock market continues to play ball with us, because it's all about the stock markets now. I said to you, I can't imagine a world in which crypto stays down and the stock market collapses, and the stock market continues to run. But I think if the stock market collapses, then we've got to rethink our entire strategy. So welcome. If you're new to our channel, subscribe to our channel. I'll tell you why you need to subscribe to our channel. Well, if you subscribe to our channel, you will be part of the, what's going on here with all my screens? So you will be part of the 316,587 people that can win the banter bags. What are the banter bags? Well, we took $10,000. We invested $10,000 in pre-market allocations. When we get to 500,000 subscribers, we give the banter bags to the community. Literally, we will give whatever the number is to the community. Last time when we gave away the banter bags, the maximum number they got up to was like $600,000, $700,000. And we're going to do it again. Another amazing reason for you to subscribe to our channel is because we are now giving away backstage passes to the show. Yeah, every single day, we are going to give away backstage passes to come and join us on the show. And today we have a whole team of people who are joining us backstage. So let's get them on the show. So Jojo, Jeremy, Anthony, Prasad, and we have Scott Malka, but he didn't win a backstage pass. He's just here because he's joining the show. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Amazing. So these are all community members just like you guys, and they subscribed, and they got backstage passes to join Crypto Banter. And then the last reason to subscribe to our amazing channel is because Sniper School. I mean, it just can't be better than that. Basically, what we're doing now is we are selecting people to join us at Sniper School. We are selecting people to join the Monday classes. Every single Monday, we're going to do classes, and we are selecting people. We are selecting them from our YouTube, from our Twitter, and from our Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, then you better start following us on Instagram. Because if you don't, then you don't get access to all these amazing things. You also don't form part of our amazing community. And I mean, this community is everything. So let's get on with it. Let's get on with the show. There's a lot of good news today. As we said in the show tile, Freddie, pull up that show tile. There is a lot of good news today. Everything that we see is bullish. And I keep saying to you guys, in a bull market, the market responds to bullish news. And that's what we see now. We're seeing Bitcoin respond again to bullish news. And there is a lot of bullish news out there. There is some bearish news. I mean, I suppose you could say bearish news. But I'm going to show you why I think that bearish news is actually pretty bullish. It seems bearish on the face of it. And you may say, you're not, Ryan, you're just being an optimist. You're being like a ridiculous optimist. It is negative. But I'm going to show you what's going on. So before I do that, smash the like, guys. I see there's not a lot of people on the stream. I know YouTube is limiting a lot of content. BitBoy's had some problems. George has had some problems. Smash that like button. Let's get people onto the stream. Like. I see there's about 5,000 people watching live. 1,900 likes. Am I doing something wrong? Is it because my hair is going to the moon? What is it, guys? Smash that like. Let's get this content out there so that more people can get onto the stream so we can bring you guys much more content. And while I'm doing that, all right. So let's talk about the FUD. The FUD is that there was a Senate subcommittee hearing on banking yesterday, and they were talking about the digital dollar, which is a central bank digital currency. I mean, a central bank digital currency, just so you understand, It is a currency on possibly a private blockchain, which is just the US dollar moving to a digital currency. That's all it is. And they had a Senate subcommittee hearing yesterday. And I listened to the Senate subcommittee hearing yesterday. And I can tell you, I've never seen a bunch of more opinionated, uninformed idiots driving an agenda, driving their own fucking agenda. I've never, ever, ever seen anything like that. And I want to show you this because I think it's a shame. It's a shame that this is the best that the USA could elect. It's a shame that these uninformed people say this. But hey, you listen.
We've talked a lot today about the dangers that cryptocurrencies pose to our economy. We've talked about the ripoffs, the instability, the extent to which they're used to help criminals with cyber attacks, like the attack on Colonial Pipeline and JBS. But there's another piece too, the adverse environmental impacts of the computing activity used to mint many of these digital currencies in the first place. Bitcoin consumes more energy than entire countries, and it is projected to consume as much energy as all the data centers in the whole world this year. One Bitcoin transaction, a single purchase, sale, or transfer, uses the same amount of electricity as the typical US household uses in more than a month. So, yeah. So, Dr.
Can you say that again, Elizabeth?
Yep. A single Bitcoin transaction, that's one purchase or one sale or one transfer, uses the same amount of electricity as the typical US household uses in more than a month. I think the estimate is 53 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Dr. Narula, could you explain why cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin eat up so much energy? It's about...
Wow, indeed, because A, that is bullshit, and B, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me give you some more. Let me play you some more of what went on there yesterday. It is crazy.
Built in. But let me ask you, Professor Menand, do you think the environmental costs inflicted by cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are worth whatever potential benefits they provide?
No, absolutely not, especially for countries like the United States, where the benefits of crypto are largely illusory. They're not a better means of payment. They undermine the government's ability to maintain robust economic growth over time. They circumvent important safeguards that we've been talking about that prevent extortion. And the environmental costs are very, very large. And so I think the cost-benefit analysis on Bitcoin is clear.
All right. So let me ask you then, Professor Menand, what's the end game for Bitcoin? Will more and more miners keep doing more and more useless, complicated math problems that consume a larger and larger share of the world's energy for the next 100 years until the last coin is mined? What is the future of Bitcoin and the future of our planet?
I think a lot depends on how the people in this Zoom react. If governments like ours continue to sit on the sidelines while alternative currency systems develop, or even if they give succor to that development, we're going to see Bitcoin use continue to expand, because there's a growing group of people who would like to move sort of the whole financial system to decentralized ledgers. And that's going to mean more and more environmental damage. So Congress, I think, really needs to act here.
Wow, Congress needs to really, really act here. Where does she find these guests? It carried on, guys. I wish I could tell you that it stopped then, but it actually carried on. Just listen to this.
Well, has emphasized, it's very difficult to stop the use of Bitcoin, but you can make it criminal in many different countries. If you have an international agreement among countries that Bitcoin will not be permitted to be converted into the local currency, then the criminals will be trapped with owning Bitcoin that they can't spend. And I think the best thing to do is for the US and other countries to get together and agree that in none of their countries will Bitcoin be convertible into the local currency.
So why did this all happen? I mean, what was the whole agenda here? What were they trying to motivate for? Because what you can clearly hear is that they are trying to motivate for something. This has to be, why are they flooding Bitcoin all of a sudden? Why are they bringing up all of the world's energy? Why are they doing all of this? Well, the answer is simple, because they have an agenda and they are worried. They saw what happened yesterday in El Salvador. They've been seeing what's going on and they are worried. They are worried. President Trump said it himself. He said Bitcoin is competing with the US dollar. And they're starting to see it, and they're starting to see that this is taking away their power. Let's have a look at what they ended off with.
Yeah. So as we think about how to build a better banking system, we need to rethink the use of environmentally wasteful cryptocurrencies. If I can, let me just get through these quickly. Dr. Narula, let me ask you, from the research you and your colleagues at MIT have done, is it possible to design a central bank digital currency that does not require miners to perform random number generation puzzles?
Yes, it is.
And could you design it so it wouldn't consume more energy than a middle-sized country?
Yes, you can.
And could we have a central bank digital currency that doesn't exacerbate the climate crisis and undermine environmental justice?
I think you could build a central bank digital currency which does not consume vast amounts of energy, yes.
Good. I'm glad to hear this. Look, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are terrible for the environment. And that would be true regardless of whether we were getting anything productive out of that energy usage or not. The fact that we're not makes it even more scandalous. One of the easiest and least disruptive things we can do to address the climate crisis is crack down on environmentally wasteful cryptocurrencies. And now is the time to do it.
Now is the time to do it. I think the time to admit would have been somewhere around 2009, 2010. But I think now the only way that you can crack down on it, Ms. Warren, is you can shut down the internet. And I don't think that that's going to happen. So yeah, who knows what's going on here. Let me get in my friend Scott Melker in. Scott, welcome back to Crypto Banter, my friend. Been a long time.
What's up, man? Good to see you in person this weekend.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Miami was fun, hey? I mean, it was great fun.
What mayhem. Absolutely like a mix of inspiration, but also a little bit of fire festival as well. With 5-hour lines and not enough food, but I don't think anyone really cared at the end of the day.
Yeah, so listen, I'm so glad to get you back here to get some different opinions on stuff like that. Guys, give Scott some love. Smash the like button. Scott, let's talk about these Senate hearings, these banking. I mean, what is going on there? I mean, what is going on? What is this all about?
I mean, I think to a large degree, you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, they sort of pretended it would just go away for years, right? It wasn't big enough. It didn't matter. And they just sort of prayed that it would go away. But that's obviously not the case now. So now they have to address it head on, especially when you see countries like El Salvador moving to adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. And within a day, we see video of, volcanic steam blowing out for mining rigs. Honestly, I think that they should hook up a mining rig to Elizabeth Warren's face and use some of that hot air as mining energy that she's blowing out at the moment. It's absolutely absurd. And no surprises, right? Now we're hearing governments talk about it, but it's the same FUD that we've heard repeated every single time, right? If it's not environment, it's going to be criminals and terrorists. We saw a story just 2 days ago about Hamas trying to use Bitcoin, of course. And now the big stories are Colonial Pipeline and ransomware. It's the same recycled stories over and over again.
Do you think that this could lead to much more regulation on Bitcoin? For example, no mining Bitcoin in the United States. For example, no trading Bitcoin for US dollars, like one of the senators actually said. He said the best way to do it is to form a coalition between countries and forbid the transfer of Bitcoin into the local currency. Do you think that that's like a possibility? Could it happen?
No. I don't think that it'll happen. I think there's enough billionaires, corporations, and institutions interested in Bitcoin who probably made that call to the Senate Finance Committee before putting their billions of dollars into Bitcoin. I don't think that that's the path. I think that it's just FUD, and I think that it's the minority opinion of a few boomers who are going to be on their way not too long down the road anyways. this is a perfect example of why we need younger people in government. There's a cognitive dissonance and bias in any generation about new technology and things that are coming, and a fear. And I think that that's what we're seeing playing out. I do think we're going to see a ton of regulation. No question. I just don't think we're going to see Bitcoin banned, or Coinbase doesn't go public thinking that they're going to get shut down as a company and people aren't going to be able to exchange Bitcoin for dollars. It's not happening.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Listen, there's been a lot of that's, should we call it the FUD of the day, but there's been a ton of positive news. And I think let's actually over to some of the positive news. Well, the first bit of positive news is this tweet by the president of El Salvador, which says, our engineers just informed me that they dug a new well that will provide approximately 95 megawatts of 100% clean, zero emission geothermal energy from our volcano. So they really are starting a volcanic mining of Bitcoin. And if you look at that, they can, with 95 megawatts, they can power every single Bitcoin mining rig in the entire world. Not that we want that, because it would centralize them all into one place. But it just shows that, it's exactly what Jack said. Jack said, Bitcoin incentivizes renewable energy. It's the best incentive in the world for renewable energy, because what better incentive than money, Bitcoin, crypto coming into your country? And now it's actually a reality. I mean, a small country in Central America with 7 million inhabitants, population of 7 million, is now leading the way for geothermal mining.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and goes back to how absurd the energy debate is surrounding Bitcoin anyways, right? People have this misunderstanding, I think, of the difference between electricity usage and energy usage. I mean, we talk about electric cars and how they're the future, but they're powered on electricity, just like the Bitcoin network is, right? So it matters where that electricity comes from. We know that over 70% of Bitcoin miners use some form of renewables, 40 to 50% entirely renewable. And we're now seeing China crack down, which means that more mining will be moved to other places that are using renewable energy. And now we're seeing going to see proven use cases of volcanic energy, which is completely, off the grid. And it's just, we know where this trend is going. For them to be rehashing this right now is just a complete and utter FUD campaign.
You know what I don't understand? You've got Elon Musk, who's one of the smartest guys in the world, running many companies and specifically looking at clean energy. That's what he does. I mean, his whole mission is around smart energy. He stopped accepting Bitcoin because it was destructive to the environment.
But is that why?
Well, a week later, the president of a country with 7 million people says, hey, why don't you use volcanic energy? I mean, surely Elon Musk, who knows so much about energy, knows that you could have used volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin?
I think there's quite a few things going in here. We've seen Elon Musk go from hero to zero more times than any person in history. But I have a feeling that he's going to swoop in with some great strategies and solutions for energy, considering he's building giga factories for batteries around the world. So I have no doubt that he's trying to fix this and will probably come back as a hero again one day. But I think the real story, and from all the digging that I've done, is that, Tesla's business, while it is making cars, it's not how they make money. They make cars, but they don't make money on cars. They make money on energy credits.
Energy credits, yeah.
Yeah, and in the first quarter, they made money on Bitcoin, selling it, right? So I have a very strong feeling and a lot of information saying that those energy credits were probably at risk if he continued accepting Bitcoin for Tesla, considering what we're seeing is towing the government line of this narrative of energy. So if the government believes that Bitcoin is bad for the environment, they're not going to give a company accepting Bitcoin energy credits. Therefore, Elon Musk has to make that announcement. And by the way, there were probably like 9 people on planet Earth that wanted to buy a car that loses 30% of its value the minute you drive it off the lot with a perfect deflationary asset. But it's a different story.
I would have much sooner spent my US dollars on Bitcoin. I'm looking here for the biggest, in my mind, the biggest news story of the day. I saw an article about it yesterday. Here we go. I want to share this article with you. Not enough people are talking about this story. It is a huge story. Now, granted, it has some negatives, but the positive part of it is that it is, I think, the biggest story of the day, which no one is talking about. And this is a story about the biggest banking regulator in the world. Yeah. So the biggest banking regulator in the world is the Basel Committee on Banking. And what they have done is they have given clarity in terms of how banks can deal with cryptocurrencies on their balance sheet. This is massive news. It is
Huge.
It's the green light for every bank in the world to start offering crypto to their customers. Even though legally they could have, the banks didn't know how to treat this on their balance sheets. Why is this so important? Because if you don't know how as a bank, you've got to maintain certain reserves. And if you don't know how you treat an asset on your balance sheet, you don't know what reserves you need. And so that's always a risk. But now this Basel Committee on Banking, which is, again, the highest legislative authority on banks around the world, has given them clarity on how to treat it. Now, there's good and bad news in the clarity that you have. The good news is that there is clarity. The bad news is that they've made it the highest risk asset that a bank can hold, which means that they've got to have full reserves. For every $1 of Bitcoin, they've got to have $1 of cash if they want to lend out $1 of Bitcoin. So it's got to be fully reserved. But I mean, again, I think this is probably a very, very, very good start. What do you think?
Well, fractional reserve banking is bad. So to have backed reserves used to be the way that we approached our currency when the dollar was backed by gold. So I don't see that as a huge negative. And I agree with you. It's clarity. I remember in the United States when states started legalizing marijuana in Colorado and such, you would hear these stories of how people feared if they were in the business that they wouldn't be able to put their money into a federal bank because there wasn't federal clarity. So they would drive around with, boatloads basically of cash trying to find places to store it until they got clarity that they could put that money in a bank. It's a very similar story on a much grander scale here. This committee saying, hey, you can custody this, you just need to back it, is absolutely massive. It's just like you said. Now banks know they can do this. They just need to have it back. Hey, when you're going to print endless money, it shouldn't be that hard to have $1 for every dollar in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen to what it says. It says, the new proposal from the Basel Committee is being interpreted as a global regulator giving eager mega banks a green light to finally hold a volatile cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and they call it Coin, which is a pawn coin, on their balance sheet. This is hardly surprising since banks like JP Morgan, Goldman, Citibank have already launched their own crypto-backed focused businesses. However, the proposal also shows that these banks will need to treat crypto as amongst the riskiest assets that they own. The reason, according to the subcommittee, crypto assets may carry risk, including market risk and credit risk, but also fraud, hacking, money laundering, and terrorism risk. They did exclude, however, one-to-one backed US dollar stablecoins and crypto assets that represent stocks, so stock-based assets.
Right, tokenized.
Tokenized assets. They excluded that and said, for those you don't need the one-to-one, but for everything else, you do need the one-to-one. And ironically, what they said is NFTs would also face the toughest standards. NFTs are just an ownership certificate for something.
Yeah.
I mean,
NFTs should not even be treated as a cryptocurrency. It's funny. I just interviewed Griffin and Duncan Cockfoster, the guys who founded Nifty Gateway and were bought by Gemini, and we were laughing about that. An NFT is not Bitcoin, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with it. The only thing is that the actual certificate is transferred on a blockchain. So of course that they should not be treated in the same manner. It's just that everything gets lumped into crypto, right? I mean, you can buy an NFT with cash through a wire transfer or a Swift transfer. It doesn't have to be in cryptocurrency. So that whole narrative is so dumb.
But I mean, look, let's put the narrative aside. I think this is the biggest and most bullish news that I've heard in a long time. This is not a country. This is the world's biggest banking regulator. When the world's biggest banking regulator says, okay, banks, you want to hold cryptocurrency because your customers are asking for it, because the stock markets are high, because now you want to put your money somewhere. Well, we'll tell you how to hold it, and we'll kind of give you guys the green light to do it. Biggest news for me of 2021. And it comes at a time when Bitcoin is at $37,290. Let's talk about price, because I know you're a price man, and I know you're a charts man. When you look at the price and you look at the charts, is there anything to celebrate here?
Not yet. So, I think that every move, every reversal, every bounce starts somewhere, but you can't really determine if it's just reactionary and, sort of a bull trap until you break key levels. For me, holding 35, 36 is really important here. So it's nice that we broke through that. That's sort of the mid-range of the trading range that we've been in since the big drop. But I really want to see price above 42 before I start celebrating anything.
Are you looking at charts? Are you getting this information from your charts?
I'm giving it from my brain, which comes from a chart. I'm not staring at a chart right now, but considering I do, video, written, and Twitter analysis of Bitcoin every single day, I think that I think in Bitcoin charts. So I don't really need to look at them at this point.
Right. Amazing. Okay, so would you be buying now? Is this a dip that you would be buying, or is this like, waiting for some kind of direction? Rather wait for a breakout, wait for a confirmed breakout. What's the Scott Melker Bitcoin buying strategy?
Always depends on your time frame and your expectation. As an investor, I think this is an incredible time to buy. And I caught all my bids down to 30K on the first drop. So I stopped buying because I had those bids and was like, they probably won't fill, but maybe they will. And they all filled that day that it dropped to like 30. So I've stopped buying. But listen, if you have a 10-year time frame, like you should, if you're approaching it as an investment, I think that these are prices that you're going to be very regretful that you did not buy down the road. But if you're aggressively trading on 4-hour charts or an hourly chart or 5-minute charts, well, we just had a really nice move and now we need some confirmations. And if you're trading for a really big move back to the highs, I think you need to wait for 42K. It's ironic, but sometimes price needs to go down to go up, right? You need to go down, gather strength, find a bid for price to bounce and go up. And sometimes you need to wait till price is higher for a better opportunity to buy, even though it seems counterintuitive.
Are you buying anything else? I mean, I know that you put bids on Bitcoin all the way down. I mean, are you buying any altcoins? Are you degenning into any into Kusama or Polkadot or any of those ones?
Not right now. Not right now. And I know that's probably disappointing to people. And I know that's disappointing when I write a newsletter and don't really include altcoins on a daily basis. But right now, in my mind, it depends on your approach, of course. But most people, I think, still trade a lot of altcoins with Bitcoin in mind to stack sats and not necessarily on dollars. And let's think about this rationally. We just saw 2 days of great movement from Bitcoin up, but what did that do to alts? Terrible, right? It destroyed them on their Bitcoin pairs. So we know that a big Bitcoin move up is damaging to alts. But recently, we also saw that a big Bitcoin move down, damaging to alts. So what's the best case scenario for alts right now? Maybe Bitcoin goes sideways for a little while and they have a moment, but we're at a point, I think, with Bitcoin where we're going to see some major volatility in one direction or the other. And while that's happening, if you're trading, alts are risky. If you're, again, buying a coin that you really believe in and love and things that has tons of potential as an investor, I think it's absolutely an incredible time to start dollar cost averaging in or buying dips.
Yeah, well, I must say, let's agree to disagree on this one.
Absolutely.
I think you're being a lot more cautious than I am. I think that this is temporary. I think that this correction is temporary, and I think that what's going to happen because you tweeted it. The cycle is Bitcoin, Ethereum, large cap alts, small cap alts, Bitcoin, and this we've just been through a normal cycle. You know this, I know this. We're now back at Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin dominance starts to increase again. Goes back towards the 50, and then people get bored of Bitcoin. They're going to Ethereum. They're going to the big.
I agree. So in my mind, that means that like maybe in 2 weeks, alts will look better than they do today. I'm not putting a permanent stop on it. I'm just saying I know that a lot of people here are trading, and like one of the hardest tactics as a trader is to sit on your hands and do nothing. Right? You feel like you need to be in the market. You feel like you need to trade, but part of that is understanding when the market's right. And right now, today, tomorrow, yesterday, I just don't see like a really great opportunity. If you're zoomed out, man, all crypto, I basically believe, is being sold at a discount. It's funny, there's a famous quote that says, the only thing that people don't buy when they're on sale is stocks. Same goes for coins. So you'll buy an ugly outfit or some 3-day-old bread because it's on sale, but you won't buy Bitcoin when it's on a dip. It's a strange investor mentality.
I love that. I think it's so true. Everybody wanted Bitcoin at 60,000. Nobody wants Bitcoin at 35,000.
And the people who said they wanted it at 35,000 now want it at 20, right? Nobody ever buys the dip that they want because when it gets there, they think there's going to be a bigger dip. It's just the way that the human mind, unfortunately, works. That's why I set my bids long in advance and I step back. And even if I feel like pulling them, I just don't, because you have to understand that your plan when you make it is better than your reaction when the time actually comes.
Alrighty, so listen, what we're going to do, let's go into some more news stories. And then for those guys watching later in the show, we're going to talk about Kusama. I mean, if you guys aren't in Kusama, we're going to talk about Kusama. We're going to talk about the parachain auctions. We're going to talk about what that means. We're going to do a proper deep dive into Kusama. You got to watch that because you got to really understand how Kusama actually works and why the price of Kusama is actually going up. So let's get back to it. Let's look at more news today. And I think, again, one of the biggest news items of the day, the biggest news of the day today is the inflation in the United States. Okay.
5%. Yeah.
5%. When did it become okay for inflation to be 5%? Inflation was supposed to be 2%. They said that it would increase ever so slightly to 2.5%. No one ever mentioned 5%. No one ever mentioned 5%. Why 5% is so scary is because of this. When you look at an inflation number of 5%, you are putting the US in the same frame as Mexico, Russia, Brazil, Turkey. You're not with Japan and Switzerland and Hong Kong and Australia and Portugal, which shows that all this dollar printing is actually starting to really devalue the currency. And I think we're getting into crisis territory now. We don't really know that we're in crisis territory because the Fed is manipulating prices in the market. Now, this is not what I'm saying. This is what some of the richest billionaire investors in the world are saying. Listen to what Duncan Miller said.
I mean, Stan has said this before. Stan Druckenmiller has made this point before, but he seems to believe this enough to say to send this to me. The market is not speaking right now in terms of how it's reacting to these inflation numbers, and will not until the Fed stops canceling market signals. And at that point, we will know, and not until then will we know whether. So basically saying there's no price discovery, it's right. Orchestrated, and we can't say the market's okay and indicating transitory, I guess.
I mean, shouldn't there be real alarm bells going off here that inflation is going up, interest rates are still at zero? What happens next?
Just continues and they keep printing. There's no way to stop it now. Their chance to stop it was probably 2008. They had a second chance, which would have been choosing a hell of a lot of pain and depression and a deflationary environment when COVID hit. But now the train has absolutely left the station. I don't see a way to reverse it. I'm not a macroeconomist, but it's something that I've looked at quite a bit. They will just continue to print. They will continue because they have more fear of deflation than they do of inflation. That's the bottom line. But the reality of the world is deflationary. Technology is deflationary. Jobs are going to go away, right? There's no reversing that. And so we live in a world where they're doing literally probably the exact opposite of what they need to do because it's based on ideas of the past when, the situation was different. It's disgusting. It's sad. And it only benefits people who own assets, right? Inflation makes stocks go up. So if you own stocks or you own a house or you own any of these things, you think that everything's great. But 99% of people or 90% of people probably don't own those things, even in the United States, first world country. And those are the ones who are going to suffer because their pay is going down or staying the same. They're losing their jobs and the price of items is going up 5%, right?
Let me show you something. So Lynn Alden tweeted this, and she showed the correlation between the US price index, which is inflation, the 10-year treasury yield, and the 3-month treasury yield. What that shows, usually the interest rates go up when the inflation goes up, and they do this to stop spending, to slow down spending, right? This is the biggest divergence that we've ever seen. We've never, in the history, or in modern history, seen a divergence where inflation is going up like this, but the interest rates are remaining low. They are artificially keeping the interest rates low. Here's my concern. My concern is that they can't stop. But if they do stop, interest rates, the only way to manage this is to take interest rates to the roof or to reset the currency. Okay?
Yeah, that's how every fiat currency ends, right? I mean, you explode the currency, you start something else, the euro, right? But no, like something like 95% of fiat currencies in history have failed, and the only ones that haven't are the ones that are on their way to failure. So it's a pretty proven system. It's the only way for governments to function is to devalue their own currency through inflation.
Okay, now look at this. Look at this. Look at where the US sits on the spectrum.
Crazy.
Okay? So below the US is Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Russia, Brazil, Turkey, Argentina, and Venezuela. Okay? Now, Venezuela's currency doesn't exist. It's toilet paper.
Right.
Argentina has had to reset its currency more times than I have to reset my computer every day. Right? Turkey has had a currency reset. Brazil has had a currency reset. Russia has had a currency reset. Okay, so you are now putting the US in the same category as countries that have had a currency reset. At the same time, you've got them talking about a CBDC.
Right.
Do you think that the CBDC is the opportunity for the US to actually perform a currency reset and say, you know what, it's actually not a dollar, it's like a dollar, it's the new currency, you get a ratio to the dollar, and this is like, this is how they get themselves out of debt. This is how they get themselves out of this debt that they cannot pay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think that that's definitely a possibility, but I think the motivation for a central bank digital currency is actually far more sinister than that. Unfortunately, I mean, a central bank digital currency, digital money is, I tweeted this yesterday, it's a wet dream for a central bank, right? Cash, we can still move secretly. They don't know what's happening. Once you go digital and everything's in your wallet, they want your taxes, they take your taxes, right? They want to send you stimulus, they drop stimulus into your wallet. It's perfect and impeccable control of the money supply, which is what a central bank wants when they want to manipulate, the value of the money or devalue it. So the reset could become part of it, but I think the central bank digital currency is just about more control and less privacy for us.
What's a wet dream?
A wet dream is a dream that you have only when you're a teenager, right? That doesn't happen to adults, not anecdotally. Yeah. So yes, but I think that it's their best case scenario is complete and utter control of the money supply.
It's just insane right now.
Sorry, that's George. He keeps coming onto our stream. All right, let's look at other big news. And there is other big news today. And I think, again, big news. And that is this story about the 401k.
I love it.
Yes. And let me find that story. Let me find it. Here we go. So this is a partnership between Coinbase and For Us All Partners, which is a 401k retirement plan provider. And what they're saying now is that people can take up to 5% or can take crypto assets and add them to their 401k plan. Not the biggest company in the world that partners with Coinbase, because they're only managing $1.7 billion worth of retirement plans. But it's the principle that now Coinbase is starting to partner up with 401k providers to let people trade in and out of cryptocurrencies tax-free and to delay the tax until their pensions get paid out or their 401ks get paid out. So massive news, because I think that the entire market is over 100 or over $10 trillion. I mean, okay, we're starting with a $1.7 billion AUM provider, but this is massive. I mean, if Coinbase does more of these partnerships, this is huge. The market should have jumped 10% on this.
Yeah, well, everybody's looking at volcanoes, right? So we're just at a time when there's one country and one story that's dominating the cycle, and we've gotten sort of used to the negative cycle, that the positive news is not jumping out like it was. But I mean, Bitcoin has gone up tremendously in the last 2 days, so maybe it's absorbing some of this. But as you said, it's absolutely massive. So we've seen a lot of companies in self-directed IRAs, which are personal investment funds in the United States, retirement investments, allow custodying Bitcoin or trading sort of all of these assets, but it's very clunky. But we've never seen it on a corporate level with 401ks. So it can't be understated how huge this news is and how little it's being noticed. Even if it's just, like you said, it's just sort of a little straw that can break the camel's back, but it's the first time we're seeing it.
Scott, there's a lot of viewers here that are not from the US. And if you are in the comments, just tell us in the comments where you're from. Freddie, put those up on the screen. What is the 401k plan and why is this so big? Maybe just take us back to the basics.
Sure. I mean, just at the most basic level, there's ways to invest money for retirement in the United States. They're tax deferred till you retire. So until you're 65, like a self-directed IRA or a Roth IRA is something you can personally do. You can invest, I believe, up to $6,000 a year, and you get all the tax benefits. So theoretically, if you had Bitcoin in your IRA, you could trade Bitcoin tax-free as an American with the amount that you have in your IRA, which compounds $6,000 a year if you're funding it fully. So that's huge, and you just never pay the taxes on any of your investments until you retire. A 401k is the corporate version of that. And what's interesting is that often when you take a percentage of your paycheck and put it into your 401k, your employer will match that. So it's, if you have a job, sometimes you get double the tax benefit of doing it in a 401k as opposed to something, individual. And so seeing it and having a company now say you're allowed to invest in Bitcoin or crypto as a part of your retirement that's being funded by us as a company is absolutely huge. Huge, massive, massive, massive. If this becomes something in the US, and I think it's going to become something, because now, we had the banks, we had the funds, then we had the institutions, then we had the corporates, and now we've got the banks, and now we've got the retirement funds coming on. And basically Bitcoin is becoming this massive, 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 massive asset class. Again, I say, there's no way that news like this can be coming out in a bear market. Sorry, there's no way we're in a bear market. The retirement industry is a wall of money, the likes that Bitcoin and crypto have never seen or even imagined. It dwarfs Teslas and MicroStrategies and all of these things. I mean, the big money that we're waiting for right now, pensions, endowments, retirement, right? Like you said, this is a multi-trillion-dollar addressable market. And so even to take the smallest, tiniest slice out of that for people and give them the option to have tax-free investment in Bitcoin, even if you get 1%, would be just absolutely massive and would move price tremendously. And we're going to get more than 1% because how this industry works, they go into stocks and then stocks become expensive, and then they go into bonds and then bonds become expensive, and they go into property and property becomes expensive. And then they go, well, where can we put the money? And they say, hold on, the only place where we can't really value things in a traditional way is crypto. We don't understand how to value Bitcoin. And so we just buy it because it just, there's no, it's not like stocks where you can say, okay, look, the price earnings ratio is so high right now that it's not worth buying. Yeah, you just buy it because you can just keep buying it and keep buying it. So for me, massively bullish news. There's another big bullish news for me. And this is, for me, much more on a personal level. Why? I love India. Okay, I love India. I've been to India many, many, many times. I love the people. I love the culture. I think India wins in blockchain if the government comes around. Why do I think India wins in blockchain? One, because it is a population that actually needs Bitcoin and blockchain. I don't know if you've been to India, but they are unbanked. They need peer-to-peer money transfer. They need all of that. The second reason why I think it's so smart is because India has the smartest engineering minds in the world, hands down. If you look at all the smartest tech CEOs in the world, every single one of them is from Indian heritage. Hands down, India wins. The smartest engineers in the world. And up until now, they haven't had much clarity on cryptocurrencies. It's been banned, not banned, banned, not banned. Today, I came across this, which I think sounds like huge news. Don't know if we can believe it yet, but it sounds like it's huge news. And it says, India may move to classify Bitcoin as an asset class. And if you read the article, it says, we can definitely say that the new committee, which is working on cryptocurrencies, is very optimistic on cryptocurrency regulation and legislation. A new draft proposal will soon be in cabinet, which will look at the overall scenario and take the best steps forward. Here's my theory about India. And I think it stems from a thought that Balaji Srinivasan tweeted. India needs to differentiate itself. It's up against China and other superpowers in the world. And the one asset that India has that no one else has is brain power, and specifically engineering, coding, software, brain power. The biggest play that India could do is buy a whole lot of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Kusama, Polkadot, big blockchains, and then encourage people in India to build on those blockchains. So just tweak the education system ever so slightly and teach people to build on blockchain. And then what happens is they've got the investment in the blockchains, and they've got all the benefit of all the value that India as a country is adding to the blockchain. To me, there's no other country in the world that can do it other than China. And I actually think that if there was a competition, India would beat China. Now, the question is this the first step in India actually promoting blockchain development? Well, I think we all have a bit of PTSD on India and China news, right? At any given month, we're hearing about a ban that doesn't exist or some encouraging news that then proves not to be the case. So I would say that I love it conceptually. If it's real, I think that this could be an amazing step, but I'm so hesitant to get excited about any news that comes out of India or China ever, because it always goes back the other way, right? We always hear about the ban whenever price drops, but everything that you said is absolutely true. I think that India has just absolutely brilliant people committed to building in this space. You've met these teams, right? I mean, you see what's coming out. You see just, I mean, look at Polygon, like look at Matic, you know, what's happened there. And I really believe that it would be in the best interest, certainly, of India and their people to commit and to really double down on blockchain and do exactly what you said, because it could be a real hope for the future for, you know, people that are often struggling.
The Indian government is insecure about money leaving the country. The Indian government is insecure about money leaving the system and not being paid its taxes. And I understand this. I understand why, because it's already a bit of a messy economy. A lot of it's already on an informal economy. And the government has a big challenge. And I think that when they get over their insecurity, and they will get over their insecurity, India wins. India wins. The US is falling far behind. China has its own agenda, and India can actually win. And I really hope India wins. And when the lockdowns get removed, I promise all the Indian viewers, I'm coming to India, and I'm going to cover all the Indian projects, because every project that I speak to, all the good projects are coming out of India. It's as simple as that. Matic, Polygon coming out of India, DeFi coming out of India. All these good projects are coming out of India. And I must say, I think at the end of the day, there's a good chance that India wins this.
I'll take that trip with you.
Right. Speaking of trips, you know, next week I'm taking a trip to El Salvador. I'm going to meet the president. We're going with a whole lot of us are going to meet the president. We're going to be doing a whole lot of streaming from El Salvador. Maybe we'll even go to I don't know, here at Crypto Banter, we've called it Mount Bitcoin. We've called it Mount Bitcoin. So maybe we'll go there. We'll definitely have some live coverage from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Scott, listen, before you go, I must say, I'm a massive fan of your YouTube channel. Massive. I think that your YouTube channel doesn't get enough credit, or certainly doesn't get enough views.
Thank you.
So my message to the Banter community, Freddie, I know you're there. Freddie, put a link to Scott's YouTube channel at the bottom here. Guys,
It's already there.
Of course it's already there, because I have the best fucking producer in the whole world. So,
Freddie, the check is in the mail, buddy.
But no, on a serious note, if you like long form interviews with the smartest people in blockchain, I listened to your interview with Raoul Paul. I listened to your interview with Tim Draper. You've had some incredible long form interviews. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up, who's coming next.
Today, we just had an interview. It's incredible with Tom Bilyeu, Quest Nutrition billionaire. I mean, just absolutely incredible guy who's all in NFTs. But we're working on getting everyone, going to get Saylor back on there, working on getting Jeff Booth back on there. But like you said, having a podcast in long form for me is like a free college education. It's the most fun thing I do. I can call anyone who I want to talk to who's smarter than me, and they'll spend an hour telling me exactly what I need to know. And I think it's a very rare and unique opportunity, and I absolutely love it. And thank you. I mean, my YouTube channel is very new. It's incredible to me to see how you've grown, because I think the first time I came on Banter, there were 500 people watching, and now there's like over 10,000 in just months. I don't know how you've done it. It's absolutely amazing, but kudos, and I love everything that you guys are doing here.
I mean, look, I just want to show you. I just want to show you guys. This is what the channel looks like. And I mean, listen, you want big names, the biggest big names that you've ever seen in your life, all on this channel. So follow Scott's channel. You guys will learn a fortune here. You guys will learn an absolute fortune here. Follow it. Watch it. Watch it twice, and if you don't like it, then I'll give you your money back. Finished.
Me too.
I will refund your money. Scotty, we're going to talk about Kusama, and I want to keep you away from altcoins, because I know that you've become anti-altcoins. I'm going to keep you away from altcoins.
I'm not anti-altcoins. That is inaccurate. I'm not anti-altcoins. I love them.
Yeah. My brother, thank you. So good to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to do this again. And we'll get you on my channel too. It's small, but we'll reciprocate.
No. We're going to do this. And I must say, I met your wife for the first time last week. She's amazing. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that she's so into crypto. I wish I could get my wife into crypto.
She absolutely loves it. So it's been a fun transition to watch. She was only slightly behind me, so she gets it as much as I do, which is really nice, as you said. And thank you for the kind words. I'll definitely pass that on. Amazing. She loved you as well.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, all right. So that's Scott Melker. Now I wanted to get him off the stream because I don't want to subject him to altcoin talk. And this is when we degen, because we're going to degen now. So I want to degen with you guys specifically around Kusama, because I think that a lot of you have been asking me, why has Kusama shot up? Why is the price of Kusama all of a sudden doing crazy things? I want to show you. You've got to understand this, because this is a paradigm shift. And if you don't understand this, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities now. A ton of opportunities, a ton of opportunities. So let me just get you guys some charts, because without charts, you won't have a clue what's going on. Okay, so let us look at this. So what is going on with Kusama? Why is it that in the midst of this bear market, now this is a 30-day chart, why is it that Kusama is climbing and climbing and climbing and almost actually back at all-time highs? Well, that is because they launched their parachain auctions. So a lot of you don't know what the parachain auctions are all about. Polkadot and Kusama are not actually blockchains. They are designed to be a bridge between multiple blockchains that are specialist blockchains. So imagine you had an NFT blockchain and a financial services DeFi blockchain and Ethereum as a blockchain. And you wanted to create a bridge for all of these. Well, the bridge that you could use is Substrate or Parachain or Kusama or Polkadot. Now, you can see it in this little drawing over here, or in this diagram over here. Every one of those little outer nodes is actually a different blockchain. Now, if you can imagine, these blockchains, to earn the right to become a blockchain, they need to participate in an auction. Now, what is an auction? An auction is when they rally their supporters, and I'm going to show you this. I want you to understand how it works. So any project that wants to become a parachain, and I'm using one at random, it's called Karura. It's a DeFi hub for Kusama. And what they do is they've said the crowd loan is live. Now, what they want to do now is they want to loan Kusama from their community and get enough Kusama support, enough Kusamas to win the parachain auction. That's a very smart system, because what the system says is the bigger the community and the more Kusama the community are holding, the more they invested, the more, and if they are willing to back a project by locking up their Kusama, loaning it to the project in return for tokens in the project as interest, then they stand a chance to win the parachain slot. Now, Kusama is a proof of concept for Polkadot, which comes later in the year. So you can watch what's going on Kusama, and you kind of know that the same thing is going to happen exactly on Polkadot. And these projects are raising, I think this project, if I'm not mistaken, raised $100 million in Kusama. Where do people buy the Kusama, where do people get the Kusama to give or to stake here so that they can raise the money to win in the auction? Well, they've got to buy it on the open market. And that's why Kusama is flying. Now, these parachain auctions are going to continue for the next couple of weeks or months. And so you can imagine that right now there's going to be more demand for Kusama than ever. Great. Amazing. But that's not the big thing. The big thing is that it's going to happen on Polkadot soon. And Polkadot hasn't had the same run. So what you're seeing in Kusama is exactly what is going to happen to Polkadot. So have a look here. You see that Kusama's gone up to almost its all-time high. And DOT hasn't gone anywhere near its all-time high. Why? Well, because right now, there's no DOT auctions. There's no DOT parachain auctions. And when there are DOT parachain auctions, because DOT is going to be limited to 100 parachains, right? You know that those people are going to go huge to try and get those parachains. So I think that if the market continues to run, I think that right now is probably a good time to be slowly buying DOT. You see what's going to happen. You've missed the Kusama boat. Maybe Kusama will continue to go up, but you've missed the big run in Kusama. But we're kind of telling you that it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again on DOT. And that's a massive narrative. And I think next week what we'll do is we'll look at how to invest in DOT and the ecosystem to maximize your crypto returns. I think we'll do that next week. So that's it for today. Thank you to my amazing bunch of studio audience backstage passes. Thank you guys. It's been amazing. I've been watching you guys in the background. Guys, if there are other people that want to participate in the backstage passes, smash the like, subscribe, comment, and tomorrow you guys can be here backstage with myself and Sheldon. In fact, tomorrow we've got banter, so we'll be backstage with the banter. Guys, thank you so much. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Great, guys. So that's it for today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Sheldon's show, very early for me, 6 a.m. EST for me. And then again, 10 a.m. EST. Banter tomorrow. Massive banter tomorrow. We've got some new guests for you guys. Big banter. So we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, if you're trading, trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.